Welcome back to Skyrider Limited. Today on Kite Bag Tour, we are looking at single line kites. So like I said, welcome back everybody. My name is Jesse and today we are back in my garage. It has been really rainy and wet and unpleasant and smoky up here in the Northeast. And so I thought I would do some kite reorganizing, and while I was doing that, I stumbled across some really cool stuff I wanted to share with all of you. So today we're going to look at some really cool single line art kites from a few different manufacturers. We're also going to look at some stuff that my dad made, which is going to be really cool to share with all of you. So sit tight. I'm going to grab the first couple of kites. So I know I promised single line kites, and two of these are single line. One of them is not, but I wanted to include it because it's relevant to the big row cuckoo behind us. So here are a couple of kites my dad built. My dad got into kite flying on his honeymoon with my mom. And while he got into sport kites pretty quickly, he was also very much a collector of single line kites, and he built some. He built a number of them for the Smithsonian Kite Festival, the part of the National Cherry Blossom Festival in Washington, D.C., which used to have a kite making competition. And so I think all three of these were actually built for various iterations of the Smithsonian. So here, one of my all-time favorites, actually all of these are kind of on my favorites list. This is Rocky the Raccoon. Raccoon? Wow. Beatles fans will enjoy that reference, but this is Rocky the Flying Squirrel. Rocky was one of my dad's sort of more interesting scratch builds. There's quite a lot of interesting engineering, and I don't think I have Rocky assembled correctly, to be honest. I need to get my dad to come and consult here, because the bridle line, I'm not quite sure where the bridles connect to. But he's all ripstop and all back cut applique. And very clever sort of sprung fiberglass construction here to keep him opened up and sort of in shape. And he flew pretty well, as I remember. So this one was something he built, like I said, for the Smithsonian. I'm looking to see if most of them had dates on them or signed. Here we go. So Rocket J. Squirrel, Bruce Kapsten. So this was 1993 that Rocky was built for. So this is really cool, and like I said, it's family history, which I really enjoyed getting to share with you. And that brings us to the big rock in the back, which was actually built for the next year of the Smithsonian. So this and its counterpart, which is a Rev 2 sitting down below, are called Universal Flyer 1 and 2. And they're these great scenes of an astronaut on the moon flying a big delta with the Earth kind of rising in the background. The rock is framed in some big, beefy fiberglass. The Rev is framed in Advantage, as you'd probably expect, and it is a Rev 2. It does have magic sticks on the back, original magic sticks from the Rhode Island gang. And one of the really interesting things on this Rev is, you may notice, it has a Revolution wing tag. So if you look, I'll bring this nice and close to the camera so you can see, right down here, that has a finished Revolution wing tag on it. So Revolution had the patent on this shape for a very long time. And officially, they were pretty firm on folks not copying the design. But if you wanted to build some homebrew, every once in a while they would sell wingtip tags, which were basically a permission slip. So if you got a hold of a wingtip tag and built a kite and put the wingtip tag on it, kite was kosher. So my dad actually built two Rev 2s, this one and one other one. And it's really cool because it's just got this beautiful, very simple applique scene of the moon and the spaceman, which is on this one very small but very intricate. You can see, and he stitched a piece of bridle line on for the spaceman's flying line there. So I've always liked this kite, and the rock is its bigger counterpart. And again, all of this beautiful applique, the little stripes are pieces of ripstop stitched on. Everything is back cut or front cut in some cases because he wanted some bleed through here. So the white is actually over the blue and front cut. The delta with a really beautiful depth effect on the heel that he did. Just really nicely done stuff, and he was just sort of messing around. It's a real shame, honestly, that he stopped building kites because I would love to have seen where his imagination would have taken him, but we got pretty serious with sport kites, and that sort of took up the time. So obviously these are big kites today, so sit tight, and I'm going to break these kites down and build up some stuff from another kite artist and one of my favorites. So lucky for me, while we were switching kites, the weather cleared up a bit because this next one is quite large. So this kite and its partner, which is actually quite small, ironically, are two kites from one of my absolute favorite kite artists, Ron Gibian. So we own 3 Gibians. We have a mini Astroglide. We have this one here and this fighter. So I'm going to grab the big one first. So this is one of Ron's totems. I'm going to back all the way up, and I'm still not sure you're going to get to see all of this kite. It is tall. Very, very tall. And just beautiful, and we're really lucky that the sun is out and kind of backlighting it right now. They're beautiful flyers, these big totems of Ron's. They're wonderfully floaty, all ripstop, and with Ron's usual meticulous stitch work and cutting that just so perfect, and just wonderful geometric patterns that he was doing and continues to do. So Ron is definitely known for these geometric shapes. He's also known for his animals, which the next kite features one of Ron's animals. So let me go grab that, and I'm just going to switch real quick. So if you want to know more about Ron and Ron's kite making, you can check out the Kite Maker Corner video with Ron from Kite Party earlier in the year, where we also got to see some of Ron's more recent work. That one was from '96. This is from 1997. This is a small fighter, a series of 10, and this is number 10, featuring this wonderful crane. Again, all ripstop, wood, steam bent spine, fiberglass spreaders. Just beautiful kite, and again with Ron's wonderful detail. Ron has a really beautiful way of using ripstop and layering to get some beautiful color effects. A lot of this kite is back cut, not all of it is. He picks and chooses his back cutting very carefully to add depth to color in just such a wonderful way. And all of the pinstriping he does to give the feathers their depth is just so beautiful and so meticulous. So these are the Gibians, and I think we'll move on to something else big and interesting. I have another giant for you here. So this is a P-38, styled after the World War II fighter of the same name. It was designed and built by Mike Sterling, and you might remember Mike's name from one of the previous videos where we talked about cyborgs. Mike was the creator of the cyborg. And this is no less an interesting piece of engineering than the cyborg is. It's framed in Revolution Advantage carbon and fiberglass and microcarbon and pultruded. So Mike built the wholesale, and it's out of Black Icarus. My dad did the appliques, so when he got it, he talked to Mike and decided to give it some nose art and some graphics to make it more of a fighter. So he put the red, white, and blue stripes on the wingtips and down on the tail there. And we got Snoopy fighting the Red Baron here, flying his doghouse. It was a great flyer. They're big and impressive in the sky, and really, really cleverly designed. This is one I'm really looking forward to. I know my dad is looking forward to seeing this one back up in the sky, so we're definitely going to get some of these out and fly for sure. So I'm going to go put Snoopy away, and then I'm going to bring out some kites from our last kite artist for today. One from the West Coast that definitely has sort of a Bay Area vibe, and you'll see what I mean when I go to grab those. So, really quick fill in for folks. Earlier we talked about a rokaku. I felt like somewhere in here I should probably explain for those who aren't familiar with the term. Rokaku is a Japanese traditional kite form. It literally means six-sided kite. And it's probably one of the more popular forms. It's a very versatile shape. You can do quite a lot with them because they're nice big sails where you can do quite a lot of art on them. So this next manufacturer did quite a few Rokakus. And next we're going to look at some kites from Ty Billings, who worked out of the Bay Area in California. And we're going to look at his kites from High as a Kite. So Ty, one of the cool things that Ty did was he found a process to tie-dye the ripstop. And so we're going to look at an Ito and two of his 5-foot Rokakus. We have 3 of the 5-footers. We also have a smaller one. We also used to have, but we passed those along to someone who was going to fly them, a giant arch of diamond kites that he had done with Grateful Dead licensed him to do Teddy Bears, the Grateful Dead dancing bears on them. And he did a series of 7, and then he produced sets of arches of the 7, and we had several sections of the arch that we passed on. So hold tight. I'm going to grab the Ito first. So I've always loved this one because it just has such a beautiful splash of color on it. Beautiful kite, beautiful color, very typical of Ty's work. These big bright splashes and these wonderful sort of tie-dye patterns that are very, very, to call tie-dye traditional would be wrong, but they're very typical of like a tie-dye shirt from summer camp, and they have that great summery feel to them. The fabric has a really unique feel. If you ever get to see one of Ty's kites, ask the owner and if it'd be okay to give it a feel, because there isn't ripstop that feels like this, and it's really unique. So we got to know Ty both through when we were flying for Buena Vista, and Buena Vista being out of the Bay Area. We also got to know him while we were flying for Guildworks, flying the Synergy Decas. There was a series of High as a Kite dyed fabric decas done, which some of them, probably the rarest decas out there, were actually made from fabric that had been caught in a fire and became what was known as fire dyed. So there were a number of those kites out there, and those are pretty rare. I think we have 1 or 2 left. So that's the Ito. This is the full dye 5-foot rock. And just bear with me a little because I didn't put these all the way together. But you can see, again, just beautiful bright colors. I'm going to hold it up because we're backlit at the moment by the sun, and it'll really sort of come to life. Wonderful splash of rainbow color on this one. And this is done out of 3 panels, basically tails and the middle. And this one is dated 1995, and it is titled Altitude High Enough to Threaten Civilized Aviation. Actually, I take that back. I don't believe that is the title. I believe that is the description. Yeah, all right. So this is great. Ty wrote on the back of this kite, made in flight, 2/2/1995. Altitude, high enough to threaten civilized aviation. Duration, 1 California half hour. And it says, for Bruce, for my dad, and it's signed by Ty. And over here we have the High as a Kite tag. That's really cool. I never noticed that before. Everything about that just thrills me. So now we're going to look at one of Ty's more interesting pieces of work. So this is another 5-foot rock called the Black Orb. I'm going to back up so we can get this one all the way into frame. So here we have the Black Orb. This is another one of Ty's 5-foot Rokakus, but with this wonderful sort of souls in flight graphic and these two mesh panels, which I'm going to peek through the upper one. Again, just beautifully done. His stitching was so clean. But the tie-dye itself is the star. And on this black background, it's really, really vivid. Again, I look forward to getting these back in the sky. Maybe at a night fly. These could be cool on night fly. What do you think? Let me know in the comments if you think these need to find their way to a night fly at some point. So hang tight, and I'm going to get our last kite for this video, which is a lot smaller, but just as interesting a process from the artist. So this last kite is actually quite small by the standards of some of the things in this video. We have another fighter. This one is by Robert Trepanier, who's a Canadian kite artist who's known for his paint work on his sails. And we have a Bukka fighter here. So Bukkas are this rectangular shape. Unfortunately, this kite's going to need a little bit of TLC. Robert used some surgical tubing up here where I'm holding the kite to join the spine to the top spreader. And it is, as it tends to do, kind of crumbling away. But it's wonderful. So Robert's known for these faces and these sort of somewhat grotesque at times, but always sort of whimsical forms that he paints. If you go back and watch the Kite Maker Corner video with Joe Hedzicki, he actually mentions that one of his favorite kites was a Trepanier-made dog that's quadline kite. So this is a cool little fighter. We had met Robert at, I think at Wildwood, though it might have actually been at the convention at Wildwood in 1997. I'm actually going to look and see because the signature's there. Can't make out a date anywhere. So again, ripstop, and very similar to the tie-dyeing process, he was stripping the coating, and I believe watercolor, but I'm not sure. Someone can correct me in the comments. I would be stoked to get more details than I have. But just, again, beautiful colors and these sort of wild and whimsical forms that he did. And so that's today's video. What do you think? Want to see more single line kites? I mean, we're going to. At some point, I have a whole bunch more large kites, some of which are delayed because I have to figure out how to put them together again. And we're also probably going to see some more fighter kites. So let me know in the comments what you think about that. And if that sounds like something you're interested in, definitely hit that like button for me to let me know. Thank you so much for watching. And as always, for subscribing and sharing the videos along. And we will see you out there, Skyrider.